Pam Bondi. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is going to get your blood boiling, I'm guessing. Pam Bondi had an oversight hearing and treated it like it was her job to be Trump's cheerleader. Now, again, it's important to remember, not only could she have torn up the non-prosecution agreement that Epstein had gotten from Alex Acosta and gone after the people that were his co-conspirators while she was AG of Florida. Not only could she have done that, but she's also stupid. Oh, and she's kind of a bitch. She's kind of mean, too, on top of that. Like, she's just not a nice person also. Like, so, and she's already coming up to bat with 2.5 strikes. I'm just saying. And Durbin talks to her. Let's see if, and obviously he dunks on her really hard and is mean to her. And so it's understandable she would react the way she did.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
I was going to ask her some questions.
Madam Attorney General, let me ask you this question. Were you consulted by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
Executive privilege, automatically. Also, that's a yes.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed.
Yes, because they have them on tape. Right.
What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And
well, it's difficult. I got to say, there are few things that you can actually love in life more than you hate Donald Trump. I mean, he is a pussy-grabbing, adjudicated rapist who was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman for a quarter century, a fraud, and stole from charities to such a degree that he nor either of his sons can have a charity in the state of New York anymore, which is, I gotta say, an impressive feat on its own.
the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going...
For what? They can't arrest anybody. I mean, they would be doing the equivalent of a citizen's arrest. The only thing they could do is guard points and do checkpoints. What are you gonna do? Set up fucking checkpoints in cities? That's freedom! Freedom!
protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Damn! Shazam! And then lightning strikes, and then eagle wings come out. Yeah, good stuff.
Been on this committee for more than 20 years.
I wrote on my little notes here that if you don't protect it, I will. She wrote, by the way, let me show you something. I think it was the Daily Beast put this down there. Let's see. Yikes. Where are you, silly? Yeah, let's see. Hold on, I'll find him. Pam Bondi notes hearing whatever. That'll come up. Takeaways. Hypocrite. Yeah, there you go. Top of the folders. There's gonna. Yeah, you can see. Here they are. This is her notes. She wrote them she had little stickers on the inside of her folder, and they say, the little notes she wrote are to herself. She wrote, "You claim to be a social justice warrior, but you're a member of the Senate." Then cuts off in the photo. The next line says, "You rail against dark money, but you work with dark money groups." you talk about corruption, but you push for legislation that would make it easier to be corrupt or whatever. That like it's all like Mad Libs. And the fourth one says you're a total hypocrite. That's all she wrote. You're a total hypocrite. Maybe you know what people were assuming that these are things that she was going to say in the meeting herself to other people, but maybe these were just things that other people had said to her that she wrote down that she was like, I need to reflect on these things because they are true. So.
That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration.
Yep, I agree. Wait till you see what she said to
He made a clear commitment.
Adam Schiff. There she go. Because they love Adam
You would
Schiff.
not politicize your position. We're here today, your first oversight hearing 9 months into your tenure, at a time when hundreds of career prosecutors have quit because they were required to take unethical actions at odds with that promise, or feared that they would have to take such actions if they remained on the job. When over 1,000 former federal prosecutors have sounded the alarm about—
By the way, he's asking normal Senate questions, the kind of stuff that's been asked for years.
unprecedented degree
Whenever stuff like this comes up.
to which the powers of DOJ are being abused to go after the president's enemies. I approach this hearing with a heavy heart. As a former federal prosecutor myself, I served in a department that, whether it was under a Democratic or Republican president, would never use the office to go after the president's enemies or to hide the corruption of his friends. But today, the Justice Department has been used to cover up the possible corruption of the mayor of New York or of a high-level administration official taking $50,000 reportedly in cash in a bag.
It's Homan.
Child sex predator who befriended the president and some of his cabinet members.
Jeffrey Epstein.
And instead of preventing partisan weaponization, your department has engaged in a brazenly political prosecution at the president's explicit direction. The department has become President Trump's personal sword and shield to go after his ever-growing list of political enemies and to protect himself, his allies, and associates. My questions therefore focus on these two themes: hiding the corrupt acts of his friends and prioritizing the political prosecution of his enemies. So let me start with the shocking allegations of bribery and pay to play. 2 weeks ago, 4 major media outlets reported that Tom Homan, the president's top deportation official working in the White House, took $50,000 in cash in a bag from undercover FBI.
And I think that's for me, that was the sweet spot, that it was actually in a bag. I mean, I'm a big fan of the folded manila envelope like Denzel used in Equalizer. You know, the one that had $9,800 and the guy died for on this funky floor. You know, I'm a big fan of the bribery in the manila envelope, the folded manila envelope, but a bag, that's old school. And especially since, you know, Homan looks like a character that would show up on a Monopoly board anyways.
Agents in September 2024, just over a year ago. According to these reports, Homan indicated he would facilitate securing contracts in exchange for money once he was in office in a future Trump administration. Reportedly, this exchange was caught on tape. Rather than pursue this investigation—
Yeah, like, where's that tape? Like, that would seem like Congress, you know, it's one of those things. Can we add that to the pile of reasons to give the, you know, that power for Democrats back in the House and in the Senate so that they could subpoena that footage, which would magically disappear, by the way.
fear or favor the department and the FBI under your leadership or that of your predecessor before you confirmed, quietly shut it down. Once news broke, your deputy and FBI director issued a joint public statement confirming that the Trump administration closed the investigation. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied Homan took the $50,000, telling a reporter, quote, "Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight." So today I hope you can help us get our facts straight. Was that true, what the White House Press Secretary said when she denied Homan took the money? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, as I stated earlier, I was not in office. I was not confirmed when that was handled.
Yeah, who gives a shit, lady? You run the department now. It's true. Like, That we don't have a fucking crime reset button that happens when a new sheriff happens. Like, oh, thank God, I was criming before the new sheriff came in, so they hit the giant reset button. Like, everybody's criminal record has been expunged. Any case that wasn't brought to trial before we got our new sheriff doesn't count. That doesn't happen. That's not how for fuck's sake, lady.
That's not how it works.
Right. So
does that mean?
Deputy Attorney General Blanche and Director Patel said that there was no evidence that Tom Homan committed a crime.
well, is there video of him taking the money and no evidence that he committed the crime? Why? Because he couldn't technically promise it at that point? Because he hadn't secured the job yet? So he didn't commit the crime then. He committed it now.
Now you're putting his picture up to slander him.
No, I'm putting,
as
his,
much
I'm
as you
putting his
can.
picture up
You know-
showing an interview he gave with, I think, Fox, in which he was asked explicitly about these allegations that he took a $50,000 bribe, and he refused to answer. He said he didn't answer the question whether he took the money, so I'm asking you the question. Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, I answered that question multiple times.
No, you didn't.
Frankly, you know,
Well, I don't think, with respect, I don't think you did.
Right. Okay. So this went on all fucking day, by the way. Concrete Blonde over here was
Recognized.
Thank
Jump.
you. Attorney General Bondi, good morning. I'm going to start on a different subject.
Good morning.
On behalf of families in my state. And I wanted to thank the FBI and the local justice officials in Minnesota, the U.S. Attorney's Office, for the work that they did catching the murder, in the horrific murder of my friend, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband, and the shooting of Senator John Hoffman. Just last month, my state was again shaken to its core when a mass shooter attacked Annunciation Catholic Church in Minnesota, shooting through the stained glass windows, injuring 21 people, including 18 kids, killing little Fletcher, little Harper, an 8 and a 10-year-old, murdering them when they're in mass praying, 12-year-olds protecting 8-year-olds. I know we've spoken about these tragedies, and we both agree that this kind of violence, whether in Minnesota or at a Mormon church in Michigan or the assassination of Charlie Kirk, has no place in our politics or in our democracy. In 2018, after the Parkland shooting, you were Attorney General, and there was a bill called the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. And the bill banned bump stocks, enacted red flag laws, and raised the minimum age to purchase a firearm in Florida from 18 to 21. And you actually defended the law in court from a challenge from the NRA. And we know that I'm in favor of an assault weapon ban, period. I look at these bills and I think, does this hurt my Uncle Dick in the deer stand? We have a proud tradition of hunting in Minnesota. I don't think they do. But as I talked to Director Patel, and he told me in the chair you are sitting in right now, that assault weapon ban could prevent future attacks. I talked to him about better background checks, about red flag laws, and then that perhaps we could find common ground on what actually happened in Florida, which would be to at least change the minimum age for purchasing assault weapon, because we've got 18 to 20-year-olds commit gun homicides at over triple the rate of adults 21 years and over, even though that wouldn't helped in Annunciation Church because he was a few years older. She was a few years older. But as you know, the shooter at Parkland was 19 years old, and the shooters in Buffalo and Uvalde were both 18 years old. So given your efforts in Florida, do you agree that at least raising the age for purchasing assault weapons could reduce the number of these shootings?
Senator, first, that's pending litigation, and I can't discuss that at all. The 21 is pending litigation. I cannot discuss
In
that.
Florida?
But if I could go back
I really
the
didn't know
21
this.
age is pending litigation. I can't discuss that. But Senator, back to
pending litigation. Do you have opinion that law should exist or not? All right, never mind. Anyways.
what you said about what happened in Minnesota, there is no place for that. And
Yeah, thanks. Great. Thanks for getting us there. I want to say there was the yeah yeah. Josh Hawley thinks his phone was tapped, and there was a This is
cover evidence. This case has gone through 3 administrations, as well as former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta.
I know that, Pam. But have you interviewed Secretary Lutnick?
No, Senator.
Do you plan to?
If he wants to talk to the FBI or the FBI wants to talk to him, that is more than on.
Don't you think you ought to talk to him after this interview?
Senator, if Howard Lutnick wants to speak to the FBI and if Director Patel wants to speak to Howard Lutnick, absolutely.
Okay. Maybe we ought to get Mr. Lutnick in here too, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Booker.
Thank you.
Wait, hold on. Now I'm curious.
By the last Justice Department.
Back up here.
And we cannot discuss the details. I don't know many of the details.
Well, maybe we ought to get Attorney General Garland here. Do you know if Mr.
Is this where?
Lutnick,
Okay, here we go.
in the 12 minutes that I have left, since everybody else got to go over, I've got to ask you about this, General. Secretary Howard.
It's Madam Attorney General, not General. It's very odd. She's an Attorney General. She's not a military general. It's just peculiar.
Lutnick, on October 1, gave an interview to the New York Post about Mr. Epstein. Mm-hmm. And he described Mr. Epstein as, quote,
This is the peanut butter dickhead clip we saw before.
greatest blackmailer ever, close quote. Have you reviewed that transcript of that interview?
I have not reviewed the transcript, but I saw the clip of it.
Okay. It appears that Secretary Lutnick was Mr. Epstein's next door neighbor. In fact, their townhomes shared a wall.
Yeah, all you need is a small glass, and you got more information than Kash Patel has released.
And the reporter that was talking to Mr. Lutnick, she asked how other prominent men could have been associated with Epstein when Mr.
Donald Trump.
Lutnick could immediately sense that he was a, quote, pervert. And then Secretary...
Yeah, this was, by the way, can I just point out that this is exactly what I always bring up when I run into a maggot someplace that's a big Trump supporter, and I maybe we have one in the chat room today, I guess, possibly. But so, maggots, if you're here, I have this question for you, and it's curious to me that most of you seem to answer exactly like Howard Lutnick did, which is, if I ask you, how long would it have taken you to figure out Epstein was a pedophile if you were hanging out with him all the time? Like if you'd partied with him multiple times, you'd flown on his plane, he'd flown on yours. Like how long? How long would it take you to figure out? And most people oddly go 5 minutes. I'd know in 20 seconds. Trump knew him for a quarter fucking century. And the case that Lutnick makes in that interview is that you couldn't not know. If you hung out with the dude, it should take you a couple of seconds to go, this dude's a fucking creep. And yet Trump was so fucking dense, so fucking stupid, or the other option is that he couldn't tell, or that he was enamored of it, impressed by it, and a participant in it. 25 fucking years. He couldn't figure it out. Why would you want that person? No wonder he thinks the world leaders who are clearly mocking him behind his back, who are clearly manipulating his ego to get better deals for their countries and like roast him over his spit effectively, that he thinks they're his friends. He thinks Xi Jinping is his fucking friend. He thinks Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un are his friends. You know how fucking stupid you have to be to believe that? The kind of stupid you would have to be to know Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years and think everything he was doing was on the up and up.
Lutnick said, or rather the reporter said, did they see it and ignore it? Do you remember that from the interview?
I do.
For 25 years?
And Commerce Secretary Lutnick said, no, they participated. And then Commerce Secretary Lutnick goes on to say, quote, that's what his MO was. You know, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was a video. This guy.
No, was videoed. I don't think they watched a video. They didn't put on fucking Finding Nemo.
Was the greatest blackmailer ever, blackmailed people. That's how he had money, end quote. Is that true?
No, it isn't. Did you read her memo? Asshole. No. She put it out on a Sunday night. She didn't sign it, but it's all there in black and mostly redacted black. But it's all in that document. No, there were no co-conspirators. There were no friends. He wasn't blackmailing. He didn't use leverage on anybody. Nonsense.
Senator, as our July memo said, we did not uncover evidence. This case has gone through 3 administrations, as well as former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta.
I know that, Pam. But have you interviewed
Now she's Pam.
Secretary Lutnick?
General Pam.
No, Senator.
Do you plan to?
If he wants to talk to the FBI or the FBI wants to talk to him, that is more than on.
Don't you think you ought to talk to him after?
That is more than on the table. Great. That's finished. Yeah. Okay. Where's the? Is it Lindsey Graham who wigs out at one point? And because everybody does at some point, like because she's such a waste of fucking time, and everything is just like she's just trying to follow what Kash Patel did and kind of recreate that shit. Let me see if I can find. I think it is this, right?
Senator Graham.
Senator Graham. Well, one thing I want to do is I wanted to do Chuck Grassley. Where's Chuck Grassley's questioning of this whole thing? I'm from Iowa. I'm Chuck Grassley. And I talk like I'm actually chewing cud.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. So I want to make sure I got this clear. If a
I'm guessing no.
Democrat or a Republican senator has a problem with a grant that's been canceled or reduced, you would be glad to talk to them.
Yes, Senator, and I have been doing that as well.
There have been Democratic members who called you.
They have spoken to my office, yes, Senator.
Oh, they've spoken to your office. You have not spoken with them. So you just lied. All right, cool.
Tried to respond.
On either side of course, if it has anything to do with law
So-
enforcement or victims,
And that includes Senator Durbin. If he's got a problem, he can call you and you'll try to respond.
absolutely.
You'll try to respond? How about respond? What do you mean try to respond? Form words into a telephone? I tried to respond, but nothing would come out.
Thank you. How many illegal immigrants are in Chicago?
Ooh.
Yeah, give me a number.
Does anybody know?
I do, countless.
That's not a number, bitch. God damn it. Countless. Just that. I'm sorry, you can't count? That's good grief.
What we have seen since January 20th, Senator Graham, is a 1,000% increase in violent attacks against our ICE officers.
Why? Because last year there were 5, but you put 1,000% more people on the street. And so everything, if somebody does like this with their hands as they're being moved, that's, how many assaults is that? 1, 2, 3? So 3 assaults? Does that count?
Right. But I just,
Yeah. No, so what you're saying is fuck me. You're sending, you've got ICE agents you're putting in harm's way and having an increase of threats of violence and physical violence against them of 1,000%. 1,000%. Mm-hmm. But you have nothing to show for it. Your actual deportation numbers are lower than Biden's.
is there like 10 or 100,000? Does anybody know?
There have been multiple, and we have made multiple arrests, of course.
Yeah, dozens. Yeah, awesome. How? Oh, hold on. Let's see what this. One moment, please. Whoops, sorry, I checked the word. Okay, hold on, there you go. Searching. Should be able to get a general number by population for the Chicago metro area. Illinois entirely has approximately 550,000 unauthorized immigrants as of 2023, representing about 4.4% of the state's population. This is a more recent estimate than earlier figures. Earlier research from 2016-2018 had the estimate around 511,000. So in the post-COVID, you had a rise of about 30,000 in theory. Chicago metropolitan area, more than half of Illinois undocumented immigrants live in that area. So that puts them about 275 to 350,000. The population of Chicago is what? The Chicagoland area is what? Chicago population is, what am I guessing, 7 million, around that? I'm looking it up. 2.7 million in Chicago proper. And then Chicago metro area has 9 million, 8.9 million people. So downtown 2.7, actual Chicago, and then Chicago metro area, which doesn't even include like the northern suburbs necessarily or out to the airport, 8.9 million people, and of that, about 230,000 are undocumented immigrants in the Chicagoland area. Metro area is approximately 9 million people. It added 22,000 people in the last year, and so all of them were undocumented immigrants, I guess.
Involving violent gangs in Chicago, throughout Illinois.
Right. So
Yeah, so has every other administration.
the only reason I ask that is Chicago is sanctuary city.
And
Help ICE deal with illegal immigration or their sanctuary city. Do you know?
They are not cooperating, and I would ask that, I wish Senator Durbin would condemn the governor for not cooperating with our law enforcement officers.
The only reason I mention this, if you're a sanctuary city, any place in the country, you're making it difficult for the rest of us. Because word gets out, if you get to a certain city, maybe Chicago being one of them, that you're home free, and that just encourages more illegal immigration. Do you deal with that? Agree with that?
I do, Senator Graham, and can I?
Hold on. If that's the case, wouldn't that be just ringing the dinner bell? Would you prefer, if you don't want any illegals in your area, why not? Yeah, like you're from what, North Carolina or whatever. So wouldn't you want them leaving for a city if your cities aren't? And you're like, there, it's like a magnet. People will go to the sanctuary cities. Well, then wouldn't you want that, I guess, if you want them out of your area?
Add something to that, please. One of our biggest wins was against the Sinaloa cartel, and that came in Chicago. The state of Illinois has a trust act, which prevents local law enforcement from cooperating with our federal immigration authorities. And that's what I was trying to talk to Senator Durbin about. On September 15th, our partners at ICE arrested an illegal alien from Mexico for beating a 21-year-old man to death. He had been imprisoned in Illinois prior to the murder and was released under Illinois' Trust Act. We filed multiple lawsuits in Illinois for sanctuary policies, specifically in-state tuition for illegal aliens and obstructing employers from verifying citizenship. You can't make this up. On September...
Hold on. I don't think they obstruct them from doing it. It's not required. It's like what happened in Oklahoma. That's why they raided that facility. Or in Iowa where that the superintendent dude from Ghana who's in trouble because he'd gotten a removal order under Biden, had stuck around, moved to Iowa where they don't have E-Verify or they don't have to do a check on your citizenship, and then when he got pulled over, he ran for it and he had a gun, a fixed blade knife, and $3,000 in his car.
5th, a federal grand jury in Chicago indicted a major Sinaloa cartel boss, narco-terrorism, guns, and drug charges.
Sorry, who? Real quick, 1 second.
Verifying citizenship. You can't make this up. On September 5th, a federal grand jury in Chicago indicted a major Sinaloa cartel boss, narco-terrorism, guns, and drug charges.
Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do.
On July 11th,
Sorry, you said it like they shouldn't be doing that. Or it's somehow special in that guy. Like they catch a Sinaloa dude, they're gonna, more than likely, he's gonna be under federal indictment, I'm guessing.
we announced a guilty plea for Ovidio Guzman Lopez. You may know him as the son of El Chapo, one of the worst narco
The worst.
terrorists in the world. In the world.
In
Senators.
Chicago.
In Chicago. In Chicago. He
Yeah, his son, not him, but yeah.
entered a guilty plea to drug conspiracy and 2 counts of knowingly engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise.
Hold on 1 second. Run that by me again.
Lopez. You may know him as charges. On July 11th, we announced a guilty plea for Ovidio Guzman Lopez. You may know him as the son of El Chapo, one of the worst narco terrorists in the world. In the world.
In
Senators.
Chicago.
In Chicago. In Chicago. He entered a guilty plea to drug conspiracy and 2 counts of knowingly engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise in the state of Illinois. I could
hold on.
continue with fentanyl. I could continue with child predators in Illinois.
Well, thank you. I think I've seen.
Right, yeah, where everybody goes out. And let me see real quick. Looking up the date on this, just checking something. See, his father is known as El Chapo, guilty plea. Didn't set a sentencing date, guilty plea was announced. I don't want that part. I want when his arrest was. Previous release. Was briefly captured by Mexican security forces in 2019. Released him on the orders of President Andrés Manuel López Obrador to avoid further bloodshed after cartel gunmen unleashed chaos in the city of Culiacan. And let's see. In court Friday, because he was hold on. Mexico recapture of one of the leaders of this guy. Mexico recapture of Ovidio Guzman, one of the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. Mexico recapture. This is the hold on. The casebook ICRC. January 2023. They recaptured him, one of the leaders in the Sinaloa cartel, and released in 2019. Further examines escalating tensions and acknowledged his case prepared. Student law. Sinaloa cartel launches violent responses. Mexico recaptures El Chapo's son. So he's been in jail since 2023, and they finally got to trial, and he pleaded guilty in July. So he was captured during Biden. Hold on.
Numbers over 100,000. So Chicago and other sanctuary cities, you're making it harder for us to deal with illegal immigration by doing what you're doing. And I am President Trump is.
Yeah. How? How does it make it harder in like South Carolina if Chicago lets people in and they're unwelcome in your state? Hold on. Still looking for a piece of information.
To change those policies, and if you need the National Guard to bring order out of chaos.
Yeah. Guzman was arrested in January 5th of 2023. I can't remember who was president when he was arrested. Can you? Is this... Are they not... Did they just accept that people are going to, breeze past this shit? You got a guilty plea from him. Great. You gave him a plea deal. Sketchy as fuck, but whatever. But if it saves you a trial and having jurors have to worry about looking over their back for a long time and all that stuff, cool. But you didn't arrest him. He's been in jail since he was arrested during the Biden administration in Mexico and then transferred to U.S. custody.
So be it from my point of view. Now let's get back to the topic sort of at hand here about how the law is being used politically.
By the way, he was extradited to the United States on September 13th, 2023. Let's listen to that little section again. I'm just going to annoy the fuck out of me, but...
Up. On September 5th, a federal grand jury in Chicago indicted a major Sinaloa cartel boss, narco-terrorism, guns, and drug charges. On July 11th...
We're not going to name for that person. Just trust me, bro.
We announced a guilty plea for Ovidio Guzman Lopez. You may know him as the son of El Chapo, one of the worst
The worst, sister.
terrorists in the world.
Yes, and he was caught in Mexico and extradited to the United States in 2023. Stupid.
In the world.
Yes, and he's been in the jail since 2023.
Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yes, that's where they tried him. They didn't find him in Chicago, you dumb motherfucker. Good God. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Am I just looking for trouble, trying to expect them to, fuck me. In Chicago. Yes, that's where the court was. And he didn't have a fucking apartment there. They didn't capture him at Wrigley Field with a SWAT team, you dickhead. You didn't catch him at all. The Mexican authorities did. They negotiated with the U.S. under Biden to extradite him here because we could try him without a gang war killing everybody involved, was the theory. And they tried him in Chicago, and it worked. And he pleaded guilty. So stupid. Fucking dumb. All right, let's see where the rest of this shit goes, because I'm getting aggravated. I'm starting to get a stomachache.
Chicago.
By the way, it's a line from Risky Business. Hold on one second.
He entered a guilty plea to drug conspiracy and 2 counts of knowingly engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, asshole. That's where he pled. He was arrested in fucking Mexico. He was extradited to Chicago. He wasn't engaged in a continuing criminal enterprise since 2023. You fucking putz. This is, goddamn, this is so lame. I mean, I would argue that this kind of qualifies as lying to Congress. I know you got the plea deal, or the guilty plea, but you didn't catch him, and you're allowing for a gap in the information for people to presume you did, and you fucking did not.
I could continue with...
Yeah, with other people the Biden administration locked up.
I could continue with child predators in Illinois.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you can't continue with them in every state.
I've seen numbers over 100,000. So Chicago and other sanctuary cities.
Wow, I got a much higher number but that's, I mean, it's an averaging thing in theory. But he's saying over 100,000 in Chicago, which, again, in an area of 8.9 million people, 100,000 isn't dick.
Making it harder for us to deal with illegal immigration
How?
by doing what you're doing. And I am glad President Trump is trying to change those policies. And if you need the National Guard to bring order out of chaos, so be it from my point of view.
Why would they need the National Guard to help deal with a guy who's been in jail for 3 fucking years?
Now, let's get back to the topic sort of at hand here about
Sort of.
how the law is being used politically. In September 2022, Attorney General James from New York basically said in a campaign
Letitia.
that she would go after Trump, his business transactions, and his family will fall.
Yeah, that's because in New York, you could run on fuck Trump and win because they know him, because they're aware of him more than the rest of the country is.
Force. November the 15th, 2022, Trump announces his candidacy for president. November 2022, 3 days after Trump announced his re-election campaign, Jack Smith was appointed by Garland to be special counsel to look at classified.
Yeah, because he had taken classified documents and he hadn't given them back. The timeline doesn't start with when he decided to run for office. He decided to run for office to protect himself from the fact that they were on his heels about shit he stole, dumb fuck. Jack Smith was a result. He was an effect of a cause. And the cause was Trump absconded with shit and was showing it to people. The Iran attack that he ended up using, he showed it to people when he's like, they've been planning this for 22 years and they finally got to do it. Like, motherfucker, you gave it away.
Information, document mishandling, and trying to undermine the 2020 election. In March, President Trump was indicted in Manhattan of 2023, just after announcing.
Right about the time that, what's his name? Ovidio Guzman was arrested. Yeah? Remember him? He was arrested around then as well. And he was extradited to Chicago, where they trusted that the judicial system could handle a perpetrator of his magnitude.
34 felony counts. And what they did is they took misdemeanors and turned them into felonies by using a legal theory that no one in the history of Manhattan had ever been charged with.
That's because nobody else fucks around like that. And he was the first to find out. This gets boring. I got to be honest.